Hey everybody, this is the last day of this week that started the Global Read Aloud project, which is actually a program that connects readers all around the world, and it lasts for 6 weeks, but this is the first week that it started. I mean, it just began on Monday, and teachers and children and schools are joining together to come together to read one book. My books are participating in the global read aloud, as an author, get to know my work in this case. And I've been reading books this week just to be part of this read aloud because I love reading aloud. And the book that I'm gonna read you today is Niño Wrestles The World. And I'm right now in my hotel in Boston. I came here today because I'm gonna receive the Boston Globe Award for my book Dreamers. So I'm here to receive that today. I'm gonna be seeing other authors who have also created amazing books, and I'm happy that I'm gonna be doing that. But I wanted to tell you then, now that you are here, hello from Jackie Rosales, from Joy James Elementary. Hola, muchísimo gusto, qué bueno que están aquí. Jorge Salas is here again. Hi to the class of Mr. Salas. Qué bueno que vinieron. ¿Quién más está? Cristina Blanco, Pagota. Y gracias por las felicitaciones. Thank you, everybody. So I'm going to tell you a bit about Niño Wrestles The World. And this story happened because a number of things. First, I have a memory from when I was a little child. When I was little, my dad has always been a guy who likes to exercise a lot. So he loved and he admired people who was very strong. And one day I live in Jalapa. We were living in Jalapa, and in Jalapa there is una arena. That's what they call it. That's the place in where lucha libre happens. And one day he decided to take my sisters and I to Las Luchas. Have you ever been to Las Luchas? Because Las Luchas are fantastic. They are a show. Lucha libre is not real, but it's a lot of fun. What lucha libre does is that it enacts the fight between the good and the evil. So it is put together in this show in which there are luchadores, and luchadores can be called técnicos. Francisco Alarcón, hola, mucho gusto. Y también está Amanda Hunter. I am really excited too that you are here. So Joy James Elementary, hi to all of you. So I was telling you about lucha libre, and one of the things that I learned about lucha libre is that there are two kinds of luchadores. That means two kinds of wrestlers. Do you like to wrestle? I like to wrestle. I love to wrestle with my sisters, with my puppy. And in the case of lucha libre, luchadores, they wrestle against each other. But there are two different kinds of wrestlers. So there are los técnicos. Los técnicos are the ones who always do the right thing. They follow the rules. And then there is los rudos. Los rudos, they don't like to follow the rules. They are like behind the back of sometimes of the referee and just trying to do things that they are not supposed to do. So they enact what is the good and the evil, and then they wrestle. And sometimes the técnicos win, sometimes the rudos win, but pretty much at the end of every wrestling match, even if we don't see that, because remember it's a show, even if we don't see that, the luchadores might just come and shake hands and say, hey, hi, maybe I'll see you tomorrow, or maybe we'll go out with the family. because it is a job. It is it's a show that they put together so that we can enjoy and we can feel the emotion of what it's like for the bad and the good, the evil and the goodness to fight, and then sometimes to be victorious one over the other. But it's much like a game. It's a lot like what happens sometimes inside ourselves, in ways that we decide whether we do one thing or we do the other, and sometimes we take decisions on one side or the other, and that's kind of like the way that lucha libre is. Lucha libre is a way to recreate that wrestling between one or two decisions. So my father decided he was going to take us to the luchas. Tania, Enid, saludos desde Fort Worth, Miss William and Miss Perez class. Qué bueno que están aquí. Me da mucho gusto. I'm really happy that you are all here. And Jasbel Alcalá, saludos. Miss Alcalá class, Washington Academy. Qué bueno que están aquí. Me da mucho gusto. So I was telling you, so my father took us to the luchas, and I was very impressed because I was little, and these guys just seemed like huge and too active for me. I tended to be a rather timid child, but I remember that at the end my father took us backstage because one of the luchadores that had just been wrestling, he was his friend, and he came and introduced us to this man, and he even shook my hand, and I remember I was very impressed, and I was almost trembling because I couldn't believe that this man who was so big was a real person. And he was actually a really nice person, even though he looked a little scary to me. And I will tell you that I don't remember that wrestler that much, but the impression that I got that he was so big is part of also what inspired some of my characters in Niño Wrestles The World. Now, my mother also had something to say about las luchas, and Barum is here, and also Cynthia Castillo, hola, muchísimo gusto de que estén aquí. So I was telling you that my mother also had ideas about lucha libre, and she said to my dad, like, you know, you shouldn't take the girls to see the lucha libre because things are not supposed to be solved with violence. That fighting, I don't like it, my mother said. And I used to remember that for a long time. And when I was making books, I wanted to make a book about lucha libre, but because I was impressed by this fight between the good and the evil, and how we recreate it constantly. We are constantly taking decisions about one or the other, and we are kind of labeling things. But also I remember that my mom used to say that fighting was not okay. And I wanted to make a book about lucha libre, but I wanted to honor all the things that I have learned about my mom, from my mom and my dad. And that's how I decided to make Niño Wrestles The World. So in Niño Wrestles The World, yes, there is wrestling. But you will see that the wrestling happens in a way that also honors something, that thing that I learned from my mom, that is that sometimes we can solve our things in different ways rather than fighting. And the wrestling is a wrestling that can happen and can be solved in many different ways. Like, how will a niño, a little child, be triumphed? You know, how can he win a battle? And that's how my response was to create Niño. So Janet Michelle is here, and Roger, hi Roger. I'm gonna be seeing you later. So in the meantime, I'm gonna read you Niño Wrestles The World. And what I'm gonna tell you about Niño Wrestles The World is that I feel this book with all the espantos I remember from when I was a child. Things that I was afraid of. So yes, I was afraid of extraterrestrials. I was afraid of La Llorona. Have you ever heard of La Llorona? I have heard of La Llorona. I have never heard La Llorona. Melissa Tamayo, hola Yuyi, just want to tell you that what an inspiration you are. Muchísimas gracias a ustedes. So I hear about La Llorona when I was a little kid. And how do you know that La Llorona is coming? Do you know how? Do you recognize La Llorona? My mom used to tell me about La Llorona. My aunts and my uncles used to tell me about La Llorona. And I was always afraid that I might hear La Llorona, because the way that you know that La Llorona is near your house, near where you are, is that you hear her cry. And the way that she cries is, ay, mis hijos. I was always afraid of La Llorona, so I decided to put her in this book and many other espantos. So this is Niño Wrestles The World by su servidora Yuyi Morales. Octavio, la idea de la lucha. La idea de lucha sientes que para ti se relaciona también con la lucha social. Sí. La lucha es que todos somos luchadores. We are all luchadores. We all go for something, and we all find ways to overcome our obstacles. And this is a story of a little boy, a little child, who has some obstacles to wrestle. And here we go. Yuyi Morales presenta Niño Wrestles The World. And here already are some images of some of the luchadores that you are going to see inside, such as La Momia de Guanajuato, La Cabeza Olmeca, La Llorona, El Extraterrestre, and many more. And it begins like this. Maromas voladoras, máscara contra cabellera, luchadores técnicos contra rudos, Niño Wrestles the World. Niño, 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 niño. Señoras y señores, put your hands together for the fantastic, spectacular, one of a kind, Niño! So superb are his talents that out of this world contenders line up to challenge him. Here comes the first one. It is the Guanajuato Mummy. Niño versus la momia de Guanajuato. Oh no. What is a niño to do? Tan 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 tan. Slish, sock, bachatas. Niño defeats the Guanajuato Mummy with the tickle taco. Uh-oh. Olmed Head awaits his chance to bomb skulls with Niño. Niño versus Cabeza Olmeca. What will Niño do now? Tan 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 tan. Wonk, bloop. Niño makes his puzzle muscle move, and Olmec Head's mind is blown. It is a real skull cracker. Crunch. Can you see how he defeated Cabeza Olmeca? I'm going to tell you something. In Espanol, in Spanish, puzzle is called rompecabezas. And that's a word that actually means to break heads. It breaks heads. So can you now have a sense of how he defeated Cabeza Olmeca? Ay, Missy! Who's coming? Mis hijos, my children, ta-da! Niño versus La Llorona. Niño's doll decoy stuns the weeping woman into submission. Niño versus El Extraterrestre. Marble Mash, Niño wins again. Spack. There is no doubt. No opponent is too terrifying for him. Niño versus El Chamuco. Dun, 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 dun. Niño does it once more. Look at the popsicle stick. Swap. Ay, 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 Juan, no, señor. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. But then the dreadful hour arrives. Oh no, recorcholis. His sister's nap is over. Time for Niño to tangle with las hermanitas. Niño versus las hermanitas. Las hermanitas are rudas. Whap, way to haul. Cuchicu, what a move. Gah. Will they stop at nothing? How is Niño going to win this time? Dun, 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 dun. Niño's best move ever. Taka! If you can defeat them, join them. Los tres hermanos now accepting all comers. And this is the end of our story. And whenever we say we finish a story here in Mexico, in my family, we say like this. Y colorín colorado, este cuento se ha acabado. And some people ask me if my books are autobiographical. I guess yes, they are autobiographical. When I think about Niño, I always think about myself, because I used to be a child who was very afraid of things, very, very afraid. I used to believe that at night extraterrestrials were gonna come and take me with them. And that's what I put an extraterrestrial right here. And even though I always thought they will come for me, I am still waiting because I'm still here. But I put all the things that I used to be afraid of. And when I was making this book, I realized that one of the things that I learned to deal with my fears, and Joanna is here. Si alcanzaste a llegar, me da mucho gusto. Hola, José. Sí, hola, hermano. So I was telling you that I realized as I make books that sometimes when we are afraid of something, it's because we don't know them. We tend to be afraid of things that we don't know. So if I am right now afraid of something, I know that if I make a story about it, or I make drawings, that then I get to know those things that I'm afraid of. And in that way, I can start to get to know them better, and then I'm not as afraid anymore. Then I'm not actually afraid anymore of those things, because in a way they become my friends. And Niño Wrestles the World, by wrestling his fears, he actually played with them, and then he wasn't as afraid anymore. If you are a child and you're afraid of something, I will suggest that you make a drawing, a story, that you write something about the things that you're afraid of, and see if you get to know them better, and perhaps you will not be as afraid as you might feel right now. Also, as you might see, yes, this is autobiographical, because I used to be very afraid of things, but my biggest terror was my little sisters, my two sisters, Magali and Elizabeth, because even though they were younger than I was, they were always stronger. If we wrestled and we did things, they always won. So I knew that that they were my biggest terrors, and that's why I decided that I was gonna put them here. One of them is my sister Magali, who is right here, and this is my sister Elizabeth. Those are my hermanitas, my two hermanitas whom I love very much, and who I wrestle a lot with, and we got to learn a lot of things together. Rosalía Salas, Yuyi, mis estudiantes de kinder en línea o elementary, te están viendo y te mandan un abrazo enorme. Yo les mando un abrazo enorme, así enorme, de colores a todos ustedes. Isabel Alcalá, saludos a mi Santa María's clase en Washington Academy. Oye, Thank you for being here. I'm really happy that you made it. I hope that you love and you enjoy this reading. Y Jorge Salas, Dulce says she's scared of scorpions. Yeah, I can be scared of scorpions too. I have scorpions in my house. Where I live at right now, there are scorpions all the time. So what I realized is that actually they are my roomies. They are like my family. We live together. So I have learned to, sometimes if they are in a place where I know that I can encounter them and they will be afraid of me, I remove them and I put it somewhere else where we are not gonna have to fight for a space, you know, so that I won't be in their space, they won't be in mine. I might remove them. But other than that, I respect them because they are something that is alive and is as alive as I am. And I know that because they are alive, they are part of this world, and I respect them, and I even love them too. So I will say that maybe you can make a drawing or a story about the scorpions, about what you feel about the scorpions, and see what happens when you do that. Jorge Salas, Luis says he's afraid of el cucuy. Wow, I used to be afraid of el cucuy too. El cucuy is kind of like Llorona, like Llorona too, because she's a ghost. She's like a boogie woman, and el cucuy is too. But you know what? I have learned that all the things that we are afraid of, they are kind of pretty much like part of our neighborhood. They live around us. And the other thing is that they are all stories. They are very interesting stories. Sometimes they are scary stories, but at the end they are stories. And because they are stories, we can make them stories too. We can create our own stories in which all those things that we feel afraid of perhaps have a different connection. We can connect. Maybe they can be our friends. And if we make a drawing of el cucuy or a story or artwork, let's see what happens when you feel connected to something that you are afraid of, and perhaps you'll get to know el cucuy better and understand that maybe he is just a sad espanto, a sad person, or someone who is also afraid. Well, I think I'm gonna say bye right now, but I'm really happy that everybody was here. I'm on my way to this afternoon. I'm gonna be at the Boston Globe Award, and tomorrow I'm gonna be in New York because I'm gonna be present for the inauguration of the mural that we are 7 illustrators that got together to create a mural for the Brooklyn Library. I hope that I might be able to see some of you when you visit the library as well. And in the meantime, I just want to say once more, thank you for being here. I'm going to try to make time next week to read Dreamers. And if you have any questions, if you have anything that you would like me to say, either about Dreamers next week or something more about Niño, I'm here. I'll try to make some room to answer some of your questions. And thank you so much for being here. I hope to see some of you later during this week. Fue un gusto haber leído con ustedes hoy la historia de este niño que trata de luchar contra sus miedos. Remember that we are all luchadores. Un beso. Cristina Blanco, antes de irme, my 3rd graders class is now watching. Thank you for having been here, and hopefully we can also connect next week and we can talk more about books and read aloud. And if you have questions, I will try to pretend that I know the answers. Brian Whitson, thank you, fabuloso. Cristina Blanco, adiós, te queremos, yo los quiero mucho a ustedes. Joanna, love you too. Jackie Senecia, thank you so much. Hasta la próxima.